uh, I just thought we could all just we could just share sessions and your feelings, because I was really interested in the different reactions. Everybody had a different reaction. There was some resistance to doing the actual target. There were different emotional reactions about it, some negative, some very positive. So, and probably we could start with the video that I sent you as feedback.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
These 3 videos, released by the Department of Defense, have changed the way many people see what we can't explain.
The moment you mention UFO, immediately what comes to mind are little green men, tinfoil hats. That's not at all what we're dealing with.
In 2004, off the coast of California, an F-18 Super Hornet training exercise was suddenly interrupted by a call over the radio that would come to define Commander David Fravor's career.
You know, there's certain things in your life where you just remember in vivid detail what happened. And that's one of them, because it's honestly the strangest, most obscure thing I've ever seen flying.
Fravor, the commanding officer of the Navy's Strike Fighter Squadron 41, and another F-18 scrambled to check out an unusual radar blip 80 miles off the coast.
So as we're looking around, the backseater in the other airplane comes up and says, "Hey, Skipper, do you see?" And before he says it, I'm like, "Dude, do you see that?" As soon as we look down, we see the whitewater, and then we see this little white tic-tac. It's pointing north-south, and it's just going forward, back, left, right.
It's just bouncing around?
Yeah, like a ping pong ball.
What was its shape? What was its, what did it look like it was made out of?
Like a perfectly smooth white tic-tac. Or for people that need a bigger visualization, a giant propane tank.
Fravor says the F-18s began circling, Fravor at 20,000 feet, and the so-called tic-tac only about 50 feet above the surface of the water.
And I say, "Hey, I'm gonna go check this thing out." And the other pilot stays and says, "Hey, I'm gonna stay up high." And then it starts coming up at us. We call it two-circle fight, but it's coming up, I'm coming down. So it literally is aware we're there. There's no doubt, because it mirrored me. So here it is. I cut across, and I get to about half mile of it, you know, so I'm about halfway across the circle. As it gets in front of me, it just goes poof, and it's gone. And it's gone like that fast.
What do you mean, poof, it's gone?
I mean exactly that. Like, it's 1 minute it's there, and the next second, it's like magic trick. So I asked the other airplane, I said, "Hey, do you guys see that?" And they're like, "It's gone. It just disappeared."
When you saw this kind of performance, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
What the hell was that?
Once back on the carrier, Fravor's team told the next crew what had happened, and that crew took off ready to capture something on camera. And this is what they saw. I guess the biggest question is, what do you think it is?
I honestly don't know. I don't think that we have developed that technology. I don't think we developed it on this planet. We still, to this day, have no idea what it was, what we saw, what we chased, what we engaged. But it was pretty spectacular.
Who wants to start? Dennis, would you like to start?
Sure, I'll be happy to start. Just give me a minute as I'm pulling up my sessions now. I'll be happy to go through everything. All right. This was a really cool target. It was one of my favorite targets to date as a remote viewer, and it was the energy that I experienced with this target. I had one of those moments where I really felt like I was communicating or receiving communication. There was a moment almost of awareness, I'd say, of whatever I was connecting with in my first session, that I liked that space and I wanted to explore that further. So I tried to go as far with that as I could. But this target, and then my retasking was a focus on the energy as well. And I just it felt like a positive energy. It felt like it was intelligent and like it was trying to learn. And then the other piece to that, I don't know if this went into AOL land or not, but it was of a civilization that almost had a feel of like Atlantean or Lemurian, like an older civilization that then recognized there were cycles and they like an ebb and flow of, I guess, life on the earth. And I saw one scene, I guess, historically of like, okay, the hard stuff's coming. Now we need to go to our other place. And there wasn't sadness. It was just like, all right, it's time to go through this. And then I had a feel that the technology in my first session, I'll share some images as well, but I just want to talk for a minute about it. Technology in my first session was like, we're seeding you or we're gifting you with technology, and however it plays out is up to you. Like we have the power to take this tech and almost as if it's a reflection of ourselves and what's inside us and what it will develop into. So it could develop a society to the point of like, hey, we made this utopian society, or it could destroy a society or a civilization. There were some neat impressions that I got from it. So I'll pull up my first session and I'll just go through some highlights of it and then a few more of my reflections. Let's see here. But Coral was a great selection for a target. I really enjoyed working this.
Yeah, I should just say that I'm really fascinated by how these things work. It's whenever I've been tasked with this, I just love the way you feel when you get close to the energy. So I wanted to know more about how the hell they were actually working. That was what I was after.
Yeah, it was a neat experience going through that and connecting with that energy. So I'm going to just kind of gloss over my low level data and just get to my high points here. I'll probably put something together going through the specifics of my data, every little nitty gritty detail later for those that are interested in that. But so
there's a really nice drawing somewhere. Thank
you. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. But here, this was neat: psychic, intuitive, enriched, compassionate. And I got like a martial arts feeling. I was getting connection with almost like a life form here, like a teacher. But this drawing here, you had an interest in this drawing as well. And I don't know that I explored this as far as I could, but this drawing here relates to this almost like martial arts type of teacher, just a very advanced, like a monk, like a wise person, understanding, beyond just the physical fighting form. But this drawing had a lot of mixed feelings for me as I was going through it. It was squid-like, dark, black. It was glowing, and I got this like bioluminescence, which was a theme throughout a lot of my data. And it was wise and intelligent. And in my mind, I was picturing like this, and I don't think I recorded this data, but like a giant manta ray. And it reminded me almost of, if you've ever seen the movie The Abyss, with these intelligent civilization that lived beneath the ocean is what this reminded me of. There was clean energy. Again, I had the water feel, fluid, wavy, and then like the outside of it, like these parts here, I felt like where I have labeled B on the either side, flapped kind of like wings, just very fluid moving. And then I am right here. I started to get an AI, they're watching me. I feel calm and peaceful. And that was a pretty cool feeling. And then I again, moving into this wisdom, this life, and I felt it. I started to feel it in like my solar plexus, my chakra points down there. And this was where I started to connect with a really neat energy. And I just had this impression, like this energy point, I felt like I was being taught here, like this energy point in my chakra or my solar plexus was like a galaxy unto itself. And I was seeing that it changing based on frequency. And it started with this red spiral. I just thought like, this is so beautiful. And then it quickly changed and showed me like, this is an agitated state. So emotion interacts with this energy, which I felt was almost like it was contained in me or something that was showing me. It was like a fuzzy light. And then this was like agitation, stress, and then relaxation. And I got this impression of teaching, like almost like I'm being taught or shown something. Like the energy is a basic construct. It's a thought form. And it's like the collective, the many. And it was just this warm energy. It was communicative. It was just this pulsing, energetic ball of light. And I was getting strong feelings of happiness. And it reminded me, if you've read Bob Monroe's book, his second book, Journeys Beyond the Body, I think or maybe it was Far Journeys. It was Far Journeys. He went to, I guess, the base world of his consciousness. And they were just these curls of energy that would just experience and just a weird reality in this cloud realm that they live. And that's kind of what it felt like. And then this is where I went in. I don't know if it's an AOL, so I won't go into too much detail on it. But I just got this castle on the high hill, ivory tower type of feel. It was this high up structure on high level land, and there was some kind of water or energetics, running near it or to the side, and it just felt fairy tale, Lord of the Rings type. And I felt this sadness, and this is what I was talking about, how like we're moving. It was like a Gartha or Lemuria, like the cycle's up, it's this mystical, magical. Is it inner earth? Is it ancient? Is it technological? But they had to move and leave. And it's just more here, the structure and the water and the life forms. And again, I'm going to go through this quickly. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. I know this isn't specific what the target was looking at, but I had a lot on this, just this civilization here. And these are just images from kind of the land base that was around it. So I think, then I went into my stage 4. I'm going to see if there's anything else about the energy in here. And this was all about just the teaching and the part of the process. And then I got this AOL again of like the Martians from Courtney Brown's first book, how they were living here on Earth. And again, just like Shangri-La, Agartha, I don't know if my spelling's right there. And then the structures. This was, again, the Lord of the Rings, living in the base of a mountain. Maybe that's where this tech comes from, this civilization. And I can talk a lot on it, but that's not what the tasking was. But I had a lot of, this is where I was talking about this wisdom was given as a gift to profoundly change, but that change and type of change is determined by the user and recipient. Can cause a rise and fall, peace and destruction. They know this, and although it is given, the wisdom is not earned until the event or precipice. The user-determined outcome. It is our choices that drive us and the outcomes that teach us. Wisdom facilitates that process. What is given is only the shell of what it will become as it is nurtured and cultivated by the user. And then my second session here, and I'll go through this one pretty quickly too. I was retasked, and it was just, could you do a session on the drawing on page 6, which was my squid-like thing? And could you tell me more about the movement on page 7, which is underneath the movement, you have clean energy. How does it work? So that was my page 7 here. Let me go back to that so we can see it. Okay, page 8. And this is, we were here just page 7. I was looking at movement, high tones and pitch, clean energy, and water. And that was related to this drawing here. So I went into my session here. Again, right away, I was getting movement with my first ideogram, a structure, an object. And then let's move into my drawings here. I started getting things with aura and energy, a lot of energetics here that was coming from this. Engineered, benevolent. And then I started to get an AI. Wow, it was amazement, wonder, curiosity, and excitement. It was just this exciting feeling, something that was old. And then here now, when looking at the feedback, the TIC, I'm thinking maybe this is a close-up of this. And the things that I got out of this was just this glowing aura of energy that was around. It was radiating, it was electric, it was pulsing. And I heard, it was just this wet bubbling sounds of energetics, like a very, almost sounded like a Jetsons or just a futuristic, happy tone energy. That's the best I can explain it. And then like a mint green or a highlight that was glowing it. And then as I started to probe the different things, the green energetics here felt warm. I had the theme of copied, copaesthetic, and then something with training. And then I went right to the middle here where B is, and it was warm, soft, relaxing, comforting, and like it was endorphin releasing, made me feel happy. And I talked about this a little bit later in my session, but that part, it was almost an uncomfortable, like it was a very pleasurable experience where I started to experience, and then my mind just shut it off. Like, whoa, we shouldn't be feeling that. But it was I liked being in that energy. And then the external, I'll call it the shell here, C. That was, how did I describe C? Just this thick, hard, almost like a thick rubber. It was just this very thick outer shell, like a gray, a tan, or a purple. It was shell-like, kind of protecting that energy. And then when I was looking at what's most interesting to me, I got almost like a more aggressive feeling, and I saw again this green glowing energy and a structure, almost looked like a disjoined pyramid with a missing capstone. And this was neat. I was getting this theme as if the pyramid existed in one reality and the energy existed in another reality. I started getting this two-dimensionality feel, two worlds or two universes. But it was the energy that was important to this. So the structure I was seeing in grayscale, which I think is interesting in a minute when I come back to that too. But it was surrounding the structure is the energy in subspace. The structure was dark and cold like an anti-energy, but on one spectrum, the energy glows, is bold, it's an array, and it's encompassing. And I got, again, another glimpse of this, of like a Mayan pyramid. And maybe this is an AOL here trying to understand just the craft itself. but this was just intense energy, as if the energy comes down from above and hits the structure and then changes, or I'm sorry, that says charges the structure. Then I was like, is this the other way around? Does the energy pull from the earth, run through the structure, and then focus this beam upwards and outwards? And I had an AOL of maybe ley lines being connected to this technology. And I just felt this energy then here, this yellow beam here, moving up and down. Where are we at here? Yeah, it was cosmic energy. It was old. It was ancient. It was charged. What's the main purpose or function of the energy? And I had this clairvoyance and this term like clairominence, which I've never heard before, but it's just like this all-knowing, almost like an omnipotent, omniscient type of feeling that I was getting. And then I started getting this sense of like a doorway or an opening or a gateway, some kind of connection here through this energy. And then this was cool. And when we look at the feedback for the Nimitz, I got this, it was like the sky and then this gray window. And it was like I was seeing into another world. But I'm wondering if when you look at the pilot video, you know, you have the ocean and then you have this gray targeting screen that they're using as they're switching through different colors, watching the UFO craft, you know, spin through it. I'm wondering if that's what I was seeing here, is the window from this. It's like an image that shouldn't be there, as if a hole was torn in the sky and I can see another dimension. This feels like a metaphor or a misinterpretation. So, you know, the storyteller in me wants to say like a new dimension was opened up, but the analytical side is saying, well, this might just be you looking at the targeting screen in the aircraft that we're watching these you know, vehicles fly around. It had a function or of essence or of a state of being. What's most important to the tasker? And then I just got this towering shape, the height, the structure, and a feeling of excitement, this AI of excitement. I liked it here all the time in a different realm, but connected to this one. So again, I had this feeling of two dimensions here. It was like a fairy tale realm, and one is constant or standby. There's an exchange of energy from one realm into the other, and that constant outpouring of energy into this one realm. And again, this is the structure I saw on session one. It had that feel to this structure. Where are we at? That castle-like structure, this place here. And then I think I drew it again here. It started to get that kind of feel. So I wondered if I was going into AOL realm again, but this energy was coming out of that structure. And I also felt like a connection to like heart energy and just describing the terrain around that. It was a really beautiful place. And then again, how does the clean energy work? There was some kind of rip or tear. Was it a function of time? It was clean. It was purifying. It was, that says orchestrating there, flows, it moves, and it grabs. It's intense. It takes hold and kind of wraps. I had this sense that this energy wrapped around something and then could move it around. So I'm wondering if that relates to the TikTok craft. The energy would wrap around it and then move it around. Does it move things? What does it do? It's a barrier or barricade. Is it a doorway? It's a bridge between two realms or functions of existence. And again, the story of my mind's telling me these two different worlds, but that could also be the two realms, could be the interface between whoever controls the tech and the tech itself. You know, those two realms there. And I think maybe that was just me trying to interpret two data points here. Let's see, calm, nervous, charged, anxious feelings here. And then this was cool. And this reminded me of Edward Reardon's Inner Earth, the Earth's core sessions, where he encountered these intelligent sparks. I started to see these little sparks, these yellow sparks, and they were intelligent. They felt very wise and playful. And again, had that theme of Bob Monroe's energetics that he talked about in that book. And I referenced Terence McKenna's Elves in the Machine, these intelligent little energetics that flew around and were excited, and they were dancing, and they were moving so fast. And this is kind of what they looked like. I guess quarks is the word that comes to mind. They were curious and they had wonder, and they were particulates and moving fast. And what were they doing? They were learning, they were penetrating and absorbing. So it was like they learned in one area to copy and replicate in another, almost as if they would go around and scan an area or an object, and they could recreate that somewhere else. They were replicating, duplicating, transmitting, copying, and they were powering, but they were also empowering, and it felt strong. And then there's a mystery here, awe and wonder, and possibly ancient. Who built it? Someone who was magical or advanced. And there was just a sense of awe and wonder. And then I felt I'm going off into AOL land here, so let me stop. But I enjoyed that. I would love to explore kind of, who are these people? I don't know if that's correct or not, but I think the stuff that connects to the target was all my energy fields. And I think I drew the craft at that one point in that grayscale. So any questions for me, Coral?
Well, that's why I specifically tasked you on that image, because although you were saying it was a being, I felt that it was an intelligent craft.
Yes.
And then the way you described like heart energy, that's a Taurus, the heart energy. And you describe also sound frequencies and then passing through dimensions. So to me, that's all a feature of how they actually work. I know Daz was also wanted to have been tasked on the people, the beings, but I was particularly interested on the engineering, on how the power was, and had lots in there. So your reaction was really positive. Would you go, Niam, now and tell us about what you felt?
Yeah, sure. I did
get the other point of view.
Did a couple sessions. Some of it, maybe off in AOL La La Land, but I'll share some of them here.
I've been thinking about it and I thought it might not be actually, but
this. Share my whole desktop here. Close this. So this is my first session. My initial, low level data was buzzing and humming, textures of wet, energy static, bright lights. I saw structures in the air, aspects of land, more like hissing, rippling sounds. This was my S3, kind of like my site sketch here. I had energy, water, land, some kind of structures in the air. This land aspect, I don't really know what to make of this, but I saw like a land that felt like a burial ground, kind of like a spooky, haunted type feel here. Forbidden, stay away, eerie aspects here, foggy, gated, forbidden. I saw another land aspect. This was like I forget what you call those. They're like earth mounds that have a structure built inside of them. A sense of like steppe, maybe somehow related to this. I'm not sure. Like a mound with a structure built in, sense of grotto or inner sanctum, sealed and concealed, a sense of doom and gloom. I get the phrases like dare to enter and last chance. Here's where I felt like I'm getting, more onto target here. I saw a spiral, what looked like a spiral in the sky, like a fluorescent spiral. Looks misty or gaseous, not fully physical. Reminds me of like the Norway spiral. Concentric, misty. It felt almost like a portal. Some people would look at this and say it's like a symbol or a sign in the sky. And then here, I was onto it for sure. There's a image there of the UFO there, and I saw these. I said feels artificial. Looked just like a bright light in the sky, pulsating, releasing an impulse. Someone would say this is like a sign in the heavens, and I got the phrase like morning star. So maybe some people will call that the morning star. Dennis, you said you had a beam of energy. I got like this. Yeah. I had a beam of energy, and these things went into the water. Is that what happened? Well, I saw something that looked like a streak of light just bolt down into the water. bubbling sounds. It felt like electrified, primordial, something about it. And I keep getting this sense of like end times associated with that. Looking more at the energy, you know, I see what looks like electricity in the sky, clashing sounds, ripping and crackling, supercharged, relentless, violent. So maybe this has to do with the energy source of how they work. And then, you know, I got some life data, you know, probably not going to be much feedback for this kind of stuff, but I see a person in the rain, like on their knees, in a sense of like praise and worship. Parables, they're terrified. They're almost having like a holy or religious type experience. Take cover, godsend, stuff like that. And then this was interesting. I thought maybe this was just off target, but you know, Dennis, you said you saw a civilization that had to move on somewhere else. I saw groups of people kind of like going off into a new area, like take cover. They have to hide or take cover and move on to a new place.
That's almost identical to my drawing in my data, where I had a lot of your data, even the inner earth, like the inner mountain sanctum. I had that too. Like there's a lot of comparisons, even the dark stuff to our data. It was like one of those, a cataclysm's coming, we need to move on. I drew almost exactly that.
So yeah, there might be some of the historical data, you know, related to this type of phenomenon, maybe coming through in some of the sessions. Again, I get the sense of like apocalypse. I see like hands reach up from under the ground, like almost like a zombie rise type situation. And then I saw a skull, and I get the phrase dawn of the dead and rebirth. So it was kind of creepy. I did a retask on the energy. Started off with energetics, what looked like a structure with energy emanating off of it. Looking at the air again, I see a bright light in the sky with like pinkish white electricity arcing across the sky. And it's a shame that there's no, like, all the video is like in the sky, I guess like night vision or thermal vision or something. It would be interesting to see what the kind of like what the weather conditions were, or what was going on in like normal light there. But yeah, bright pink white arcs of energy, a sense of a mystery. It felt like, you know, artificial light phenomena, transfer, a conduit. I even got a sense of like terraform. So maybe there's some terraforming going on there. Impedance, conductance, and an open channel. So some kind of energy phenomenon happening in the sky. Looking more at the energy, I see this come down from the sky and looks like it strikes the land, touches the land and branches out. Flashes of light, directed, it feels, you know, electrocute. Transfer of light energy. It felt transdimensional. And I got the sense of like sprites, like, you know, they call that phenomenon in the sky sprites. It felt like a communication, a discharge from the upper atmosphere, some transmission. So I did a movement for like the cause or the origin. And here I see like multiple bolts of energy coming down. And I get a sense of electrostatics, a buildup or offload of charged energy, a charge and a discharge, a static hiss, a purge or a release, a sense of resistance and a container of some sort, frequency discharge, arc, amperes, ohms, cluster. So I, did some ideograms here, trying to get some more on the energy. I got a sense of there's life that's amazed. They're in wonder. Some of them are scared and worried while watching this. The energy felt like a clashing, flashing, intense, like thunderous and overwhelming. Like felt like lightning. An instant flash of light, hot and directional, alkaline. Focusing on the energy, it felt like hot, bright, branching, arcing. I had an AOL here of interstellar. The AI is like, wow, a discharge, electrocute. Felt almost like a warning or a communication, a message, a transfer encoded, something that kind of like plays out. Moving to the source or cause, it felt like a discharge from like heavenly realms, sent down or cast down. Again, like conductance. And this is like kind of like what you were saying, Dennis, like a bridge between two things. I had a sense of like two things coming together, almost like attracting or almost touching each other, causing a discharge and a release, pandemonium for some, a rush, a connection. Just trying to look at more here. I see this spiral thing again, and I get a sense of like a suction or a pull, almost like the idea of like a black hole, like things get pulled in here. And then this last bit here, this was just like I was just in a very bright white place. It just felt like light, like some people would call this like heaven, like just a stillness and white light. So yeah, that was my data there.
So what I wanted to say about yours was that, I mean, we do know that some alien species aren't very loving and kind towards our races. So that probably, that sense of foreboding. You also had in your other sessions actual assassinations or something, and that could well be justified by what we have in our hearsay about what happens to people. So yeah, there was a lot in there, and it was interesting that the energy was nice, but the beings were not so nice. So who wants to go next of you two?
Darby, you go
I can go next.
Yeah.
Dennis, I wanted to mention, I was writing down a few things and you were talking. I had sort of a structure on a hill up high. I also had a pyramid and kind of like a pyramid-like object in a murky area. AOL is like a jungle area. And I saw blue energy vertically coming out of an object inside of a structure. Actually, also, not in this session, but in my top news session for November, I had data related to the abyss, why AOL the abyss. There was like this object with luminescence. You had mentioned the abyss in your session. I thought that was interesting. It's kind of a random thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So what I did is I just took some data from my sessions into a little post-feedback summary, either data that seems to relate to the feedback we know, and data that I found interesting that there isn't necessarily any feedback for. And I used a combination of CRV and an ERV-like approach, which you'll see here in my feedback or my summary. So session one, I had data related to a man-made object, thought it was circular with energetics and life. Pilot, water, sounds hollow, energetic, spinning. I AOL'd a UFO, space travel, Star Wars, moon, metallic, focused crystal, delivering power. In this session, the green pea colored came up several times. And I had an image that seemed to show some life forms around an object of interest. When I dialed down into the life forms, I thought they were like anthropologists I AOL them as not being human, AOL DNA tampering. And I felt the life forms were strong and self-reliant, that they were actually pea green colored. They were secretive, piloting a vehicle. The concept of camping in silos was also popped up in session 1. And in stage 4 data, stage 4 said there was something in the news, fell to earth, traces of the past, mutants, discovery, not normal, moon, again, coming up. These are some images here from session 1. I thought that third image there that kind of looks like that the UAP film we're all familiar with was kind of a interesting match. And going to session 2 was kind of like a ERV approach. I might have done it the same day, I'm not sure, but I wanted to play around with something different. And I had an image of a semi-round object in a rack. I rated it's similar to the bell-shaped drawing that I AOL'd as a UFO from session 1, which you can see there. 2 objects seeming to be in some kind of a rack, or almost like they're parked somewhere, sort of. One way you could look at that. Bracelet with purple colored beads. This is all ERV kind of data. Horizontal stack lines with thin lines of red connecting them. Kind of seem like almost like wires in a way, looking at it now. Biological organic feeling of data, of a jar-like object filled with brown fluid and a tofu-like object. Cell-like image of circular shapes with red spherical shapes inside of them. Bright pearl-like objects coming out of a clear vessel. This is all kind of more organic kind of feeling data that was coming up. Brown dark liquid, AOL Petri dish. I saw a brass-colored cylinder-shaped object with a loop on the end that connected to a blue and wispy energetic energy. I AOL'd it was for receiving or sending some type of energetics. Then I saw a woman's head on what I AOL'd as a dissection table. Airplanes and jet fighters, something round with windows. Saw something that looked like an airport runway with black circles on the ground, which I AOL'd as a missile silo. Stage 3 was another CRV approach. Airplane, man-made object. And you see these 3 graphics here. These are 3 separate graphic data downloads. Kept getting this sort of delta / teardrop shaped kind of object in session 3. Data related to these drawings would be startle, quick, life forms, descent, flash, leaving behind. Bigfoot family on vacation. I had to put that in there because it was so random. Like, this is kind of like a concept that popped into my head. Crisis in a government building. We don't want people to know about this. Man-made object with structures inside. Artificial, evil, jettison, base, giant, spying, population, economic rebirth, Cleopatra. I thought that was interesting. Altitude, remote controlled exercise, catching, combining, heat, boiling, glory. I did a movement prompt asking what is the object catching? And I saw an image that looked like clouds in a building. In my head, I kept thinking building in the clouds, wispy clouds, jingle, altitude, airplane, soldier, uniform, Cheshire, town, buildings, straight, precision, Langley. And then what I did is I wanted to sketch and describe the most important aspect from Coral's perspective. And I don't know that if I got that or not, but what I got was seemingly another structure with these other 2 objects or structures. When I probed them, I got piloted, scouting, recognized buildings, headquarters, debris, rain down, missiles, fire, nuke, shoot, planet, pirate. And so I AOL some type of a guided missile attack on a structure. I feel like these 2 images are related almost like this structure in the clouds is somehow related to this other drawing of a structure, which again, I'm AOL in as some type of a missile attack. Session 4 was a retasking, and I used an ERV approach here because this felt like what I needed to do with the retasking. Might have been just where I was at the moment, wanting to get the retasking done, and ERV-like approach seemed to be more accessible to me in that moment. Coral, one of the things she wanted to do was provide more data regarding what I AOL as airplanes or flying objects. So had some images come through. I think that these two images here you see are two different perspectives of the same, whatever it is, like an airplane, but more spherical. I write two images of semi-spherical shapes with lines coming off of it, one with lines going around the planet. So a post AOL or idea I have is I wonder if this semi-spherical object is our UAP, and these lines are somehow related to how it's propelled. Maybe it works with the Earth's some energetics with the Earth. Read that before, that some UFOs somehow their mechanism of flight is working with the actual magnetic or energetic fields of the Earth and somehow manipulating those. But in any case, I saw an image of a skinned humanoid. So basically it looked like a corpse laying on a floor or something, just didn't have any skin. A Star Wars Imperial TIE fighter, a hurt female, lying down, holding her abdomen in pain. So that there is a thread throughout at least two or three of my sessions of females, a female in pain or somehow involved. The humanoid, I think might have been female too, although I don't write that down, the skinned humanoid. So hurt female lying down, holding her abdomen in pain. Saw something look like a hood or helmet that goes over the head with a single eye. It had some projections coming off. I had this glimpse of an older man, just kind of like laughing. He was telling a story. I knew he was a pilot in the image that I saw. After I got the feedback, I was wondering if this was Commander David Fravor, who was one of the pilots who was flying the jet that reported seeing the TIC UAP. In my image, I thought he looked a little heavier, maybe a little older, but it kind of had that same kind of vibe that you're seeing in that image, which I think is from a Joe Rogan podcast, but he's done quite a few interviews since they came out. Object shaped like a hot air balloon, object inside a structure shooting blue light or energetics upward, a concept of building up energy or charge before shooting off very fast, a vehicle that is hidden away. Curvy organic looking object with spherical shapes. I AOL that was used for storing something. Then I saw, I might not have put the prompts here, but I think I saw several images of a cylinder object with a hole in the middle. Something going into the hole with a wavy red line. There were symbols on the cylinder. I think that these were prompts related to Coral wanting to understand that how the UAP worked, what was behind the energetics, propulsion or something along that line. Machine sucking something up and refining or cleaning it. Image of two parrots, which was as I sat with for a moment, I felt like they were unusual life forms. It was kind of a concept, observing what was happening. Image of a woman's breast and a funnel with a coil. I AOL'd something being taken from a female life form and further processed. That actually might be a post-session AOL or a blend of session AOL and post-session AOL. I just want to say that. For what purpose? I wanted to find out why was things being funneled from this woman. And I got an image of a muscular torso, image of a hand covered with what looks like blue and purple thread or lines with an eyeball looking at it. And I AOL'd observing, making and observing genetic changes. I felt like during that ERV session that I was in a large aircraft hangar and there was like a shadowy secret aircraft in there. And I AOL'd a human connection or interface with the aircraft. Coral wanted me to provide more data regarding this drawing and data from my previous session. And I got another feminine form with snake-like shapes coming off her body, AOL tubes or hoses taking something from her, a couple of images of bundled babies, AOL alien hybrid program, impression of being on an alien world. I was looking at these kind of like curvy shaped structures with a central conical structure, and there wasn't a lot of hard angles, I noted. I heard someone say the human race is not meant to spend, I couldn't make out the rest, image of a small, hairy looking life forms, not humanoid, image of being wheeled out of an area like an operating room or medical facility. Humans aren't meant to spend what? I wanted to find out what they were talking about. Something about the stars, image of a large object hovering above a planet, and there was a green little globe on the object that was hovering around the planet, like a globe of something green. I saw little furry creatures running around. And Coral wanted me to get more data about this specific image. And I just got that it was straining or combining something. And it was part of a ground-based structure, not on the Earth. I AOL'd the moon. I saw an image that looked kind of like moon-like. And that's my data. When I got the feedback, I would say that my reaction was negative in terms of how I felt about what I was viewing. In other words, if some of my data is related to the UAP, I don't think I'd want to hang out with the occupants or visit them or spend any more time. I didn't feel like, and I suppose mostly that's coming from a lot of the data that I was getting around this female or humanoid forms and the whole getting stuff from them and extracting and head on a dissection table, a skin corpse, just had enough of that. So
one of the things I asked you for the bracelet. You had like a bracelet thing with little red spheres that were attached, and I thought, I wonder if that's got anything to do with. Is that mine?
That's the UAP video, I think.
One of the things that I beg your pardon, I don't know where it's from the video that went off. Let's just get rid of the video. It reminded me of the string of pearls. You know that laser, there's a laser technology that's string of pearls. And you have like little balls attached. So that's why I was digging in there.
I'm not familiar with that.
Looks like Coral may be having some IT problems at the moment. I find it interesting that you guys had such, two of you had such, a little bit of negative data, but that might be related to some kind of, I guess, if they are life forms, we don't know at this stage, some kind of operations that they're doing, I guess, some investigations.
Yeah, it does. I think it fits a lot of the themes we've heard from the ancient civilization, seeding this one and using it for whatever purposes they see fit. I think we could tie that data into there. If we wanted to, we could make it fit, I should say.
It does seem to be a common theme throughout ufology, though, doesn't it? Linking ancient structures and some kind of, DNA possible manipulation program with us here on Earth.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Maybe it could be possible, of course, that we are picking up on themes and myths in stories
that come with it,
that come with the objects and the things that we're looking at. Because it's like, where does one thing end and another one start, kind of thing.
But we all got similar themes in terms of like old tech from a civilization that, there was some off-world stuff, but there was some old tech stuff here on the planet, but not a lot of like, Zeta Rectilii, whatever that, that, like, none of that out there. That's pretty big with the New Age stuff. This was all just kind of maybe inner Earth. Naeem, some of his stuff with the mounds, he reminded me of Raz Ben, who recalled that data as like mound technology, ancestry technology. So that kind of connection reminded me of what Naeem was looking at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think so far, Dennis, myself, and Darby, we all had, a beam of light or something like that, either shooting up or down or something like that. So that's interesting as well.
I can add to the beam of light.
Awesome.
Nice.
And we had the sparks too, the little sprites.
Yeah, I found that interesting because both of you had little like firefly spark type thing. I wonder if that's the life themselves, or maybe it's in reference to the energy itself.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was intelligent from what I saw. It felt intelligent.
That would make sense to me as well, but I can go through that when I go for mine. Carl, do you want to ask any more questions, or should I shoot?
Darby was talking a lot about organic stuff, like a tofu and brown liquid. And I was wondering if that was not used for the energy in some way, that it was a mix between organic and electrical energy, or the organic was making something, and something about that sparked my interest.
That almost sounds like, if we reduce it to its basics, I had something of energy taken from one realm being pushed into another, and that could be trying to just describe aspects of this technology as opposed to, the fairy tale that I painted around it of the two realms.
Excellent. Where do we go next? Got any more questions, or should I shoot through my stuff as well?
You carry on. Show us your beam of light.
Well, we'll get there. I'll try to scoot through this as fast as possible. I did 3 because I was going to check out my first session, but I ended up sending it to Coral in the end. Let me see here. Share. Okay, so straight off the bat here, I had a bad session really. I was going to chuck it out because I was having a painful day because I got some illnesses, and so I thought I might be off on this one. But straight off the bat, I knew it was all about an energy which was above ground, and it was in some thin wispy clouds. As you can see here, I've got a nice ideogram of something that was moving downwards in a spiral type motion, glowing, moving, a motion above to below, and it had a flowing movement, and it was definitely in the sky. And again, another nice ideogram here of a movement here with an object at the end of it. So I knew that A was a controlled flowing motion. I knew there was an object which was glowing and small, which obviously at this point gave me the AOL of a UFO, because what else could it be really? Weird motion and structure shapes here. So I knew it was a complex structure that was layered, and it had an esoteric metallic feel to it, which was gold. It was glowing, exotic, and it also felt like the actual structure was alive, which gave me the AOL of AI. Again, more downwards motion of an object, which was small, white, glowing, and opaque. And I felt the motion was guided, so it was mind-driven, I wrote there, and it was driven by intention. So I think that was indicating like a psychic kind of connection. Again, another motion here, downwards, spiraling, which obviously gave me an AOL there of a crash event. I felt like this was in the past, and again, another AOL there of MH370 crash. Just some normal stage 2 stuff there. Nothing interesting there. I did get some death in there, which is interesting, and a feeling of angels, and a dropping sensation again. So then I went to stage 3, and I tried to sketch what I was seeing, and I had this, this plummeting downwards motion, and I had this, object, which is obviously and I wrote there like a capsule. So so a Tic Tac shape kind of thing, really, white cylindrical shape to it. Here's another sketch of it here. I tried to get in more detail, showing it in a downwards motion. The area outside was code. It was air. It was and there was movement. And it was high, and it was up spacious there as well. And this was a hard, man-made, curved, long metallic object, which was vibrating and buffering. It was buffering the air due to friction. but it also felt wrong. The angle or motion does not feel controlled. It felt, which gave me the AOL there of a missile. And I wrote here, part of this also wants me to make this into a plane sketch. And I picked up planes as well. So another emotion here that I got. And emotion is an expression of the energy, which is flowing, gliding, feel to this. A flowing controlled movement, highly energetic, and it dissipates. So I knew at this stage I was definitely a vehicle. And it was in like this weird falling leaf motion, which is a common term associated with like UFOs in the 70s and 80s. So I tried to move in front of the target and describe, and that's when I had this object here, and I felt like I had a plane here with a cockpit. But I felt like the plane might have had a dark bit on it in some way, on the nose cone or something. I think I sketched that a bit later on. Getting near the end of session 1 here, I felt like if I was here watching the event unfold, it would be a tic-tac shaped object that was in a downwards motion. It was high in the clouds, a structured man-made, hurtles past me at great speed. It's noisy and it moves the air, it's vibrating. I sense and I'm experiencing a crash event as it's moving downwards fast. But yeah, obviously from the film it didn't look like it crashed or anything. So I followed it down anyway, and I felt like the structure went downwards and it actually went under the surface of water, and that's why I wrote the word splashdown. This feels like a structure man-made that is high above the surface, then descends at a pace and moves under surface and disappears. I tried to draw that in a bit more detail there. I wrote here, I'm conflicted because part of me feels that there is a loss of life at the target, but this also feels kind of muddy. So yeah, I wasn't quite sure on that bit. I'm wondering if this is a past event alleged over, causing 2 scenarios. I thought like I was picking up some kind of weird mythology with it there. Moved to the moment of the surface impact and described, and I had this, a pill-shaped object going into the water, but I felt it went into the water and then made this movement, so it went in and then rose a little bit as well, and I felt like this was the sea there. And then I wrote, why a soft movement in a fast descent, and I had an X, and I said, what happens here? Because I felt something happened there. There was a clicking sound, a siren, an emergency situation, something about a decision, which caused a drive downwards. And then that caused me to have an AOL malfunction and explosion and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, something happened. I got a feeling now I know what the target is. Maybe some kind of radar contact or something may have caused the object to make a change of direction. I wrote a note here at the top. Okay, am I misinterpreting 2 things here? So I need to break this down. So I had the soft fluid motion with an object in motion, and I knew there was a small fast moving object. But I also knew it was close to this larger object which was flying on. That's why I wrote the words, does this merge or collide maybe? And then there's a descent. So I think, to be honest, now I know what the target is. I was probably picking up on the fighter planes that were in the area pursuing the object at the time.
As wasn't there data on that about merging from another craft below the surface? I thought I read something about that.
One of the other films from the series of films does show a craft going under the surface, and at the time the guys do talk about one of the craft going under the surface and something else being under the surface as well, and they could see it rippling in the water just below the surface. So there was lots going on there, yeah. So yeah, I won't go for any of this because we've gone through that really. So then I did a second session, which I thought would be my real one. That's why I've got a summary on it, but I won't go for the summary there. Again, I had this goes slightly different though. This goes a bit more into what I would say the effects of this event, of course, spiritual effects in people, I would say. So I've got life here, and feels like they're in the zone, like a meditation type feel. I feel like there's an energy here, and it's esoteric, and it feels blue and white. And I got life enclosed or surrounded by an emitting energy field. I don't know what this is about, to be honest. It feels like it's an explosive energy, vivid, impacting, healing, and it feels very spiritual. Again, life here, male, 30-ish. Feels like I'm in the past here. They feel like they're interacting with an energy. This feels like it emanates from him, but not him. It feels sentient. And to be honest, what I think I'm describing here, because I've seen the David Flavor videos as well, where he describes what happens to them after all this kind of stuff. And I think what I'm probably picking up here is the lasting effects that they've gone through from having this kind of, interaction with a UFO, where it's changed their life view of things in the universe, really. That's what I'm interpreting this as, anyway. So I've got life and energy here, and I couldn't understand what was happening. I got the chi energy from a person, and it just forced me to have to try it, because this is kind of what I was seeing in my mind, was a human being going through a very spiritual awakening. And I got here life in an interaction, and I just wrote here, just wow, it feels like a huge spiritual feel from this. A life is exposed to a life-changing spiritual type event situation. Some S2 stuff there. Again, they got a life here. Feels like, they're in this energy's around them. And I got words like blessed and biblical there, because it felt really spiritual. So this is looking at the life's hand, and I could almost see like the aura around this person getting bigger with the this spiritual awakening. And because I was getting some biblical stuff, it just made me have a sketch of like Jesus type spiritual type thing. I'm not saying Jesus was there, of course. It just felt very spiritual like that. Then I wrote here, it feels like an interaction between two different energy sources and two different life forms. This would be like the human one, and this would be like an angelic one. So the energy itself was fuzzy, electric, alive, blue, white, and fizzing. It dissipates, and it came from above, and it's all encompassing. It's a creative, spiritual, good, wholesome, positive feel to this, esoteric, like an energy being that's alive or a life. It feels like a human being is being inspired, nudged, or helped by a higher thing. And then right here, I almost feel intrusive, like I'm being allowed to seeing an amazing personal event. A real sense of an ancient energy, very old, angelic in nature, not alien, but not human either. And that's a sketch I had with a beam of energy, which I wrote here, a beam of energy, feed it like it's coming from above, heavenly feel. And then I had this, this object in the middle of this energy. The life, male in the past, wise knowledge, and it felt like a transfer of stuff here. It's going to affect change, and then this is going to spread. So it feels like a life in the past. It's involved in an event involving energy from the universe that inspires the life, starts them on a transformational process of change. The source itself felt like it was above, it was everywhere, it was universal. It was a language and a sound. It was a resonance and a vibration, built of energy, light, and motion. And I wrote here like a soft whisper. Of course, that gave me like an AOL of godlike being them. So that's just a summary there. Then Coral got me to go back and look at some stuff. And I got motion. This is like a motion ideogram for me, which was focused, direct driven, and I felt this was vehicle based. Again, lots more motion. From above downwards, moved over a far distance which was travelled. Again, some motion here, fast propelled, a fueled engine. This feels like some kind of remote controlled function. It felt like an object under control, which gave an AOL of drone. But I had not piloted here. Now, I'm not sure on this. On reflection, I think I may have been picking up on some of the flight crew on the ship that were looking at this through radar screens and stuff. But anyway, that's just my interpretation. So this feels like the object was going through like an autopilot type process. Feels aimed, driven, directed, piloted remotely. And I tried to see who was piloting it, and I had someone that felt male, 25 to 32, Caucasian. They felt like they were military feel to this, in a green uniform. Again, male there. Felt like they were in a jumpsuit type thing in a dark environment with lots of computers around. In a secure facility that can be mobile. It felt like it was part of a small unit. Some names there, S or Sean or Shawnally or something. But definite military intel feel to this. And they're remotely watching an event unfold from the viewpoint of another moving object. That's why I felt that this was probably the people on the ship itself. Because, we know the ships were all tracking all this on their radars and videos as well. 5 to 8 other people in the room. Has an IT computer filled with it. So that's why I think it was like the computer room on the ship, to be honest. And very clandestine. I broke down the word clandestine there because I've never had that in an RV session before. And it's just got, technology, spying, USA, Black Ops, secret, all that kind of stuff. So I tried to get back to the motion and refocus to get the detail that Carl wanted. And I felt it was flowing, high tech, new secret tech. The energy feels dynamic and it feels pulled from the air. I don't feel there are any wings. There may have small fins, but I wasn't sure, which might be like the manta ray type thing. It felt aerodynamic, sleek. It felt like a secret tech. So I broke down the word UFO there, exotic propulsion, technology, drone, all kinds of stuff there on that one. Then what did I look on here? More on the page 11 drawing. I don't know what the page 11 drawing was, but I think it was the object and the cockpit type thing. So I felt like there's two things here: a smaller piloted drone-like object, which was high tech, and a larger cylindrical, less techy vehicle, which was a plane. It feels like it has a cockpit. I tried to draw it there. I tried to do a bit more detail here, and it felt like there was an interaction between the two. So yeah, there's the smaller object and the older tech craft, I should say. And this feels like a past event with both conventional and unconventional tech in the air flying, observed by military intel people. Again, the clandestine there. And that's it. The last words I wrote on there were tachyons, ions, and ion engine, and the word rainbow.
Yeah, wow. So was it Earth technology or was it alien technology?
I would say, from my perspective, alien, and looking at the other guys, alien as well. But we will. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys say?
I got a sense of like transdimensional. So I don't know if that would be an alien, but something nothing out of this world.
We probably have to be careful with our word alien, don't we? It's non-human. I would say would be better.
Yeah.
I agree. I like the transdimensional interpretation, and I feel that it uses Earth-based energy or something here, but maybe there's a connection to another realm or somewhere else.
Yeah, I wish I had more engineering skills to be able to work this out, but it seems to be they're sucking something out of the atmosphere and using that for energy. That's what comes to me from a lot of the
but that might be a really simple way of describing what how Puthoff and the team have been looking at with dark energy for ages. All this energy that's everywhere around us that you can pull, and it's infinite. So it may be a reference to that.
I've got a few thoughts on that. I mean, it could be that's a good point, Daz, and it could be just using ocean water too. I mean, there's been reports of UFOs using ocean water.
Yep.
Or the darker stuff. It could be loose energy.
They're very often seen in the vicinity of large bodies of water, so we have to wonder why that is. Yeah. Of course, that's a good place to hide as well.
Yeah, it was a good place to hide. Yeah. It was interesting the spiritual data in both Daz's session and Dennis's session.
As I said, I think on reflection, and because I've done lots of research on this, and I've seen how there's a great 2-hour interview with the pilot Favor with Lex Friedman, and he details over the 2 hours how this has essentially changed his life for him. This whole thing. And not only that, I think the admission by the US government now with the release of the Nimitz films and all this kind of stuff, I think as a whole planet, I think things have swung in a completely new, different direction for UFO research now. It's become acceptable and it's talked about everywhere, and I think it's changed a lot of people's minds. So maybe might have been picking up on that a little bit.
Yeah, we both, Daz, me and you both had the word heavenly. At some point in the session, so
I think there's good evidence to think that these things have been around for centuries, and anything that's been looked at in the Bible and other documents and experiences probably could be related to these interactions. I think
you had Fatima as an AOL in your first session too.
I did, yeah.
And that's where they had the dancing sun, which felt a lot like the little sparks that I was drawn to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's lots of great data there all around, with especially with the you guys had some of the the ancient structures and the places where these could be hiding as well, undergroundy type hidden away areas as well.
Yeah, there were a lot of themes that go into a lot of lore and conspiracies that have always interested me, and that's what was neat about it, was tying in UFOs to psychic spiritual energy to the forgotten civilizations on the planet to ETs. Like this one had everything. When we started, and the consistency among all our data, I think, is what gives me more faith in some of the weird data points that we had, because we all had it.
Yeah, I think this is a good one because we all got great data, which is, supported by some really great pilot observations and video film as well.
Yeah.
It would be,
Question is,
I don't know if it's
anybody out there willing to give us some feedback on things that may not be released? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah. Well, as I said to Carl, let me pause this a second before we go through.
Good.
This I blew up the picture here alongside with the just the little shape, how it has the kind of like the little plus shape on it.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, that was
it's in there.
It's a weird one, that one, isn't it? It's a bit like a spinning top or something.
Yeah, it looks like a top.
Yeah, like a dreidel or the thing from the movie Inception. That's what it looks like. The talisman.
Yeah, the little spinny thing. Yeah.
I wonder if that's some kind of programming or hints being dropped there, right?
Whoever knows. But yeah, great work, guys. Well done.
Yeah, well done. That was really awesome. It was a real honor to be able to get that information off you guys.
Yeah, it was a great project.
Is there any video or other video or location data of where that actually happened?
The whole event?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's loads of data online about the exact location, the date. Because there are 3 or 4 different films now that have been released, all related to because it wasn't just one event really. It was events that there's one event on video or two. There's 3 events on video, but essentially it was events that is, I think, ongoing now. But the events at the time lasted for months on end.
Yeah, it was a while.
But I can get all the details for that and send them around to you guys if you want.
Yeah, that would be great.
I've got another video as well, but I just wanted to task that, so I was very.
I'm wondering if anybody's done any of those Google Earth searches in that area to see what's under the sea. If there's any anomalies down there, might corroborate.
Well, there must be something happening there because allegedly, these sightings are going on now, and they just been continual. Or maybe it is. Maybe they are interested in the hardware that we're using. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious. I'm gonna spend. I'll probably do a podcast just exploring my thoughts deeper on this, because this was a pretty, impactful target. I think this is one of those I'm going to think about for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'll do is, we don't need to discuss on video, but I'll say it now. I'll put the front end in the video and add it all to this, and put it all up on Google Drive so everyone can have a copy to do with as they wish.
Awesome. Thank you
very much, Des.
What about the sessions? Do we want to release all are you guys happy to release all your RV sessions with this for people to have a look at as well?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the sessions were, there's a lot more in the sessions. So
yeah.
Darby, I had like a female being killed and stuff like that too. So
exactly, that's why. Okay. Yeah.
Well, if you guys are okay with this, if you want to send me your session, if Carl's all right with this, if you want to send it all to me, I'll compile it all and put it in a big one-lot PDF with an index and covers and all that kind of stuff. And again, you guys can have copies of all that to do what you want with.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I think this is a really big project here.
Yeah, I got a feeling a lot of people are going to be very interested in this one because the feedback for it is really particularly good for an esoteric target.
Yep.
Yeah. Well done, guys.
Send those to you
pat on the back.
Des?
Sorry?
We'll send those to you individually as Coral.
Yeah,
I can do it. I can say, because I've got everything. Just let me do it. It's just one person then.
Yeah,
so you don't have to get.
As I said, I'll put a nice cover on it, and if you guys want any express contact details in there or anything, just let me know those as well.
What do you mean by that in terms of how to reach us?
Yeah, if you because I can put a page with all the details of all of us with individual email addresses or whatever you want if you want people to contact you for work and other stuff.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, Des, with my email and stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well done, guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Great job, everybody.
We'll see what's up next.
Thanks for
Yeah.
setting that
Coral,
up.
thank you.
Yeah, who's
That was a
next?
great target.